Well, it looks like we're going to have to take a look at the Ranger today. Last few days, we've noticed that there's been a noise coming from the back end here. It seems like it's coming from this side here. And I'm thinking it's the brakes, but I'm going to go ahead and pop off that wheel and just see exactly what's going on. So I'm going to open that up and set you up on a stand in there and then back this in, and maybe it'll make noise when I back it in. We'll see. I suppose we can go back a little more. Well, I got her jacked up here, and I don't know if you could hear it when I was pulling in or not. I couldn't, because I was inside the truck, but you can definitely hear it now. Sounds like brakes to me, so I'm going to go ahead and start pulling this off. Pull the wheel off. Oh boy, that looks like it's going to be fun. And we'll pull that off and then take a look at the brakes. I won't film it because I'll have the compressor run. It's loud as hell. Well, we've run into a little bit of a problem. It would seem that these wheels haven't been off in a long time. The impact wouldn't touch them, so I've covered it with penetrating oil. And I'm going to try it again with the impact a few more times after that's set for a bit. And if that doesn't do it, I'll have to lower it down and use my 6-foot cheater pipe stand on it, see if I can't do that. And there's a good possibility that I'll break them suckers, so I'm going to let that penetrating oil work as long as I can. Then we'll get back. Hopefully I'll be able to get them off. Well, it doesn't seem the penetrating oil has done anything. The impact still wouldn't touch it. I've gone ahead and I've sprayed some more on there. I'll let it sit for maybe a half hour or something, go in the house, warm up. And then try to hit it with the impact again, but most likely I'll have to use heat, and the only thing I've really got is this crappy torch, so that'll take a while, I'm sure. So I'll try to heat one up, one of the lug nuts, and then hit it with that. Hopefully it'll work, because I don't like jumping on 6-foot cheater pipes, because it has a tendency to break studs. But that's what I'm going to have to do, I think. And kind of on a side note, I get some people that stumble across my videos and they'll see that it takes me a long time to take a part off or whatever, and they'll comment like, "Oh yeah, you're an idiot, you're a bitch, whatever. Use your muscle, blah blah blah." And I have a feeling that these people are from states where they don't salt the roads and have absolutely no concept of what rust can do. Because I've had plenty of wheels where I've had to, where I've gotten the lug nuts off, and I've had to crawl under the car with a sledgehammer and literally beat the rim off because it's so rusted on, even though the lug nuts weren't holding it, And I don't think they have any concept of what that's like. Strut to knuckle bolts are the same deal around here. I had one, we had it on a lift. We had I had a breaker bar on one side, and I was literally doing pull-ups on it. And I had another guy on the other side with a sledgehammer taking full whacks at it to try to get it to break loose and come out. And we finally did get it after about a half hour of that. We didn't have a torch or anything at the time. And then another time on one of my cars, I took the entire strut off and the knuckle and everything and put it in this here press. It's a 12-ton press, and I maxed out the press as far as I could go with this little handle, and it did nothing. So I heated it up, still nothing. So I heated it up, I put a 6-foot cheater pipe on this, and finally got it to break. I mean, the whole frame of this was twisting and everything, and then it finally broke loose. So Rust is a bitch. So we'll see what happens with this. Well, it's day 2, and as you can see, we got everything off. Last night, I went ahead and put a little heat to one of them and tried it with the impact, and I didn't get anywhere. And when I was done with that, I sprayed them down again, and I got a call from my brother's girlfriend, and her car was shaking and making noise and all that, so I pulled this one out, and she brought her car in. Turns out she took it to Tires Plus not quite a week ago, I suppose, and had new tires put on, and of course the lug nuts on the front driver's side wheel came loose and actually broke one of the studs. So I went ahead and replaced the stud for her and put in or tightened the lug nuts back up on all the tires, all the wheels. I guess, you know, that just goes to show you, for me, I always just crank them bitches on when they're aluminum rims. I don't bother torquing them, I just give them a good reef, because I would rather warp a rotor or snap a stud even, or have her stuck somewhere and can't get the tire off, than to have a wheel fly off at 70 miles an hour on a freeway and kill somebody. Just my personal preference, I guess. Do with it what you want. But back to this thing, I woke up this morning and my dad had already backed it in and broke the wheels loose and took the drums off and everything. He had to use that 6-foot cheater pipe over there to break them loose, so they were still on even after they soaked, but he didn't snap any studs when he did it, so that's a good thing. But I didn't get any video of it. And this is what we found in here. It looks like the brakes have just kind of fallen apart. All the self-adjusting stuff and a couple of springs got damaged. Yeah, that's pretty boogered up, so we're gonna have to go to the parts store, and they have new self-adjusting parts and new springs, and we're gonna get new brake pads too. Drums are okay, amazingly. None of the metal got in there and really ruined them, so I'm gonna run up and get that. I just got to check real quick and make sure these are 9-inch brakes, because there's 9 and 10-inch brakes. I'm almost positive that this is a 9-inch brake setup, because it's a 4-banger 2-wheel drive. But we'll just verify it real quick with a tape measure. Just set it in the drum there. Yeah, 9 inches. I don't have to be extremely accurate, because 9 and 10 inches are pretty far apart. So I'm gonna run up and grab them, and then I guess I'm doing brakes. Alright, well, I've gone uptown and I've got all my new hardware for both sides and brake shoes. Probably didn't need to get the brake shoes. I mean, they're still, you know, halfway decent, and it didn't get chewed up when all this stuff fell out of it, but I figure I'm taking them off. I'll replace it. I got all new hardware for both sides, because might as well do it all at once. I probably should have picked up wheel cylinders while I was in there, because they're cheap enough, but you know, with as rusty as some of these parts are, I just didn't want to take the chance of playing with this line back here and maybe breaking it off and having to deal with that today. So I'm going to leave those. They're not leaking at the moment, and hopefully they won't leak when I get it all back together. But let's go ahead and start taking this sucker apart. Pretty crappy, nasty day out there. It's raining, it's cold, so hopefully I can make this somewhat quick. I don't know, we'll see. And this is all the light I got. Is just this one little triple light back here, because I broke my Bajas, burned out the bulbs. So grab my brake tools here and just start pulling these springs off so we can replace them. Let's see, I want that one. That'll work. And now I'm not exactly sure how the self-adjusting stuff was on here, because it's all kind of falling off. So I got the other side to look at. So when I go to put it back together, that's what I'll use. Yeah, I have no idea how how some of this stuff actually went in, but we get all new stuff, and I got a whole other side to look at, so we'll be fine. We just start taking these old springs off. Kind of getting everything. That one's pretty boogered up. Get everything out of the way. Wonder if that bar fell down and went somewhere, because I don't see it in there. I should have one. Oh well. That was too small. There we go. I always save these old parts, just throw them in a bin, because you never know when they might come in handy. Yeah, not too much wrong with that one, but if your brakes were in one piece, you wouldn't just toss parts around. You'd kind of want to try to keep them sorted out, but I gotta figure out how this all goes back together anyway, so I'm not too worried. Yeah, the spring is a bit mangled up, but that's okay. And the self-adjuster stuff's kind of screwed. Here we go. Now you can see the bottom of that pad did get pretty well chewed up from that metal when it wedged in there. But that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and just clean up these with a wire brush. Clean them off a little bit. I'm not going to be too picky. The thing's got almost 300,000 miles, so it makes a little noise. Who cares? Well, if I can find it, I have some actual brake grease I can put on there. But I don't know if I have it, so I may just dab a little anti-seize on it. Matter of fact, I know where the anti-seize is, so I'm going to dab that on right away. A bit of anti-sneeze. I'll just touch up them where those pads ride just a little bit, and I'll smear it around with my finger after I get a dab on each one. Don't need a whole lot, just enough to keep them sticking. There it is. Just smear it on there. Hope I'm not getting in your way too much, but just trying to get her put together. New shoes. Yeah, let's see what we got here. Okay. We got the long shoe there in the front, and the short one, I would assume, in the back. Ta-da. Oop, upside down. Same size. They're different sizes for the front and the back, so make sure you keep that in mind. Like that. Perfect. And now, let's see what else we need. And that one wedges in. I do believe it goes right in here. Like that. All we've got left in the self-adjusting hardware bag is plug for the back, and it looks like a new pin. If your old brakes, if you're just reusing your old brakes, or your new brakes didn't come with it, we got a new pin here for this, but my brakes come with a new pin, so I don't need to use that. So I'll just put that in the parts bin for later. Now I need, where's that other spring? Yet another spring I'm going to need. That spring right there. I believe on these green ones. Yeah, well, maybe on this green. Yeah, it's a green spring. So we need a green spring. It needs to go into here. Something like that, I do believe. And this thing only goes on one way, I think. Yeah. Yeah, they look the same. I call that good. I'm happy with that side. There. Good enough. Beggars can't be choosers. There. Now I need another spring. Retaining springs. Let's see if that'll hang there for a second. These babies. There we go. And my tool. Put it in. Sweet. Alright. Now we're in business. There we go. That shoe ain't going nowhere. There. I'll just leave that hang. I think I'm missing the bar. I'm going to go check the other side and see what that one looks like, but there should be a bar somewhere that I just don't see. Usually they have a bar down in here, and there it looks like there's a spot for one, but the other side doesn't have it either. So, and if it was in there, I would have found it in the pile of parts that came out. So I'm going to leave that alone for now and just assume it doesn't have one, or previous owner removed it. One of the two. Alright, I looked at the other side and figured out how this little bugger goes on. It hooks in down below here onto I'll show you on the old one here. It hooks on behind here, hooks onto that piece like that, and then it goes up around this part with the little cable. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on. Lift this spring out of my way for the moment. Kind of working blind, I can't see it. I don't want to get my head down there and get in your way. Of course, I don't know what you can see. So. But, alright, I'm going in. I'm getting in the way. There we go. Alright, we got that taken care of. I can loop that around that. Make sure it's sitting in there pretty good. I'll just push this up so I can hook that. And that's hooked up. So now I'm going to go put the other pad on, or the other shoe, excuse me. There. That should stay, hopefully. So we'll put the other side on, and what I want to do is actually hook this spring in first, just because that spring I think is going to be a pain. There. If I didn't hook that in first, it would have been a pain in the butt. So now that's taken care of, I can put this guy in, and star wheel is going to go to this side, I do believe. I put it all the way in, get it lined up. Put that sucker in there like that. Hopefully I can do this. Some spring tension on that little bugger. It has been way too long since I have done brakes, drum brakes anyway. And I'm working a bit blind here. Come on, slide in. You gotta go in there. Certainly would help if I could see what I was doing. Go to your home. My favorite. Well, that spring's going to be a pain either way. Maybe I can take that spring off and find a way to get it. I don't know. It's got to be done. One way or another. We're going to figure it out. Maybe I can grab onto that with a pair of pliers or something. Try not to grease up these pads too much. Keep calling them pads, they're shoes. Shoes! Yeah, that's... There, that's tight. Alright. Now, put that bugger in there. I think we'll just wait on that little spring. I can probably do that with a pair of needle nose or something. So we'll just put the retaining spring in. Line this up a little bit. That'll hold my brake pad or shoe in place. Oh, don't know why I keep calling them pads today. I'm just kind of out of it. There. Make sure it's seated in there, right? Alright, that looks good. My star wheel is in place. Now I can take that spring with a little pair of needle nose and just pull it over and put it into that slot. Hopefully, this is where I lose my fondness for brakes. Make sure she's up over everything. Hey, no, come back here. See, what kind of stinks is on both sides this spring was broken, so knowing exactly where it went is kind of tricky, but I'm assuming it goes right there in that hole. It's got to. There we go. Perfect. Now we got another white spring that goes on this side, like that. And let's see here, I got this tool for putting my springs on. Works pretty fancy. And the other one, oop, oop, oop. That ain't right, that ain't right. My cord popped off here. Well, now, you know what I can do. Hopefully. Loosen that back up. Oop, too far. Come on. Right in the groove. Get in the groove. There. Hey, you. Where did you come out? Oh, you came off of there now. See, this is why people hate drum brakes. This is why I hate drum brakes. Because you think you get everything together, and it all falls apart. Okay, back on. Now we'll put that spring back on. There it is. And then we'll put this spring on. There we go. And that looks like everything's back in the way it's supposed to be. Hopefully. Alright. I like it. Now we can put the drum on and work with it a little bit and see how much we have to tighten it up. Tighten her up a little bit until I feel it drag. And I'll have to come back and probably adjust this when I got both wheels on, because I want to hit the brakes to kind of center everything up, but I can't do that with the other side off. I'll get it close now and then do the final tweaks after I got the wheels on, and then it should self-adjust on its own after that, hopefully. Okay, that might be a little tight. I'll back her off a wee bit. Nope, wrong way. Yeah, that should be alright. We'll center it up when I get the other side together, and then I can come in through the back. There's a hole here, and I can get a brake tool in there to tighten it up or loosen it or whatever I need to do. But that's basically it. It's cold out here. I'm going to take a break. Alright, I got both sides done, and I came back to this side and I noticed that this cable guide right, if I can get a good angle on the light, right where that green spring hooks in, that cable guide, that metal piece was actually not in its hole. It had popped out, so I came back and I fixed that. No big deal. If that wasn't right, you know, if it was the way I put it in originally, it would have not adjusted the brakes. And basically how these things adjust, they're self-adjusting brakes, is you go in reverse and you hit the brakes and they'll adjust themselves. And how that happens is basically this shoe here, this back shoe, when you're in reverse and you hit the brakes, will actually come off of this anchor point here and go that way a little bit. And when it does, this cable, since it's attached here and this moves with the brake shoe, it will actually pull the cable, and let's see if I can get a good shot, and it will lift this lever right here up, and when it does, it'll turn this little wheel a click or two clicks or whatever it needs, and that'll adjust your brakes. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the drums back on, and I'm going to adjust up that other side so it's fairly close. I'll put the wheels back on and see if we can get the brakes adjusted. I'll drive in reverse a little bit, hit the brakes, and should be good. One other thing, there should be a bar in here. It sits right below the wheel cylinder. It should, but it's not here right now. Somebody must have took that out. It's just for the e-brake, so I'm not too concerned about it, and I never use the e-brake anyway. So I'm going to leave it out. The parts store doesn't have one on hand, and I don't have one laying around, and it's not really a big deal. So I think that pretty much does it for this one. Hopefully those wheel cylinders will hold up. That boot's a little boogered up, but it's not leaking yet. So